What's going on, family? It's your boy Joe, and welcome again to the Mailroom. One of the things that I am having to kind of deal with in some ways, and I'm sure that we all deal with in a lot of ways, is honesty. And honesty is not always a strong point for me. And I'm not talking about cash register honesty. I'm not talking about like doing the right thing honesty, like seeing somebody drop $100 bill in front of you and making sure that you give it to them. I mean, that's for me easy honesty. What I'm talking about really for me and what God has been really kind of dealing with me on is that part of when that honesty is going to come into conflict and crash into my motives. Jonathan McReynolds had a song a couple years back called Cycles. I love that song, man. It was a cool song, and it blessed a lot of people. And one of the things that I loved about it is that it talked about these different things that kind of keep happening in our lives. You know, the different things that kind of happen to us, the situations and circumstances that we kind of keep finding ourselves going through over and over again. And I was listening to that song, and one of the things that I was like, man, these same things keep on happening to me. And unfortunately, I was kind of reminded of something that is kind of brought up a lot in an accountability group that I'm a part of. And one of the things that they talk about all the time is that you ever look at all of the things that have happened to you, all of the things that have happened to me, the situations that have happened to me, the combination, the common denominator in all of that is me. It's Joe, Skip, Tony, whatever personality I was that day. The plain truth is the common denominator in all of them was me. I was a part of those things. And a lot of times, those things weren't happening to me. I was happening to them, if I were to be honest. And where it comes into my life now, and I think where it comes into the lives of all of us, is that if we are honest, there are some of those cycles that we can stop. You know, I keep myself in an accountability group. I have a lot of people that kind of hold me accountable so that I don't go through these cycles. But where honesty kicks in is that I will be honest to my accountability team about the outside issue. You know what I'm saying? My thing though is that if I'm being accountable to that and I talk to my accountability team about that, I have to not only talk about that because I know that that's the outside issue, I have to be honest about what has caused that, because that's really what the problem is most of the time. I have to be accountable, and I have to go to my accountability team because I am an unmarried Christian man, and I have to deal with and this might be where if you got kids listening, you just tell them to go away for a quick minute. I have to deal with my carnal energy, and I will come to my accountability partners about that and be honest about that, and we can pray through that, we can talk through that. But the problem is a lot of times what I won't do is I won't be honest about that my energy might be directed towards a person who's in a vulnerable position, or that I'm actually, going to be putting someone else in harm's way with my energy, because I know if I do that, then they're going to really hold me accountable, not only to me, but about what I'm about to do or what I'm about to happen to another person. And that can be a struggle because sometimes that conflicts with what you want. Same thing with a job or with an opportunity where I will sit there and I will be I'll tell them about what's going on with that, but I won't tell them that it's actually a toxic job that's going to come into conflict with ministry, or that later on, if I do get this job or if you pray me through this job, I'm going to end up praying 2 years later, God, please get me out of this, fellas, what just happened? And be like, why didn't you tell us that this was going to be the case? And it's because we weren't honest. And I think that that's the hard part that we all have to deal with. And this is the thing that I'm going to challenge myself with, and I hope that we can all kind of just go through this together, because I know that we're not alone in this, is that we have to make sure that we get in front of things with our honesty. And to be honest all the way through. There's a scripture that's in the Bible, and it's from, I think, 1 Samuel chapter 10, 22 or something like that. It'll be in the comments here, so to make sure I get it right. And it says that obedience is better than sacrifice. Now, the whole part of that, and a lot of times we all hear that and we know that part of the scripture, but the whole context of the scripture is this, is that God had commanded them to wipe out everything in the Amalekites' camp. And they were supposed to utterly destroy all things. But what they did is they destroyed everything, but they kept a few things that they could sacrifice to God. But what ended up happening is they didn't do fully what they were supposed to do. And what Samuel was saying from the voice of God is that it would have been better for you just to obey than to say, I'm going to halfway obey, but I'm going to go ahead and give my disobedience as a sacrifice to God. And that's kind of like I think that I have to do, and like I said, I'm talking about me because I don't like to put that on other people. Everybody doesn't have to go ahead and walk every journey with you. But what I have to do is I have to understand that I have to be fully honest and obedient if I want to prevent having to make a sacrifice later. I have to be fully open and honest about certain things to make sure that I do not have to go through those cycles, or that I'm not actually putting other people through my cycles. Again, as always, I always say that might not be in the book, but it's still a word. At least I tell you, it's a word for me, a tough word too. As always, if this has blessed you or you think it might bless someone else, make sure you like this, share it, tag a friend. If you have any comments, like I say, always just, either if you don't feel comfortable in the thing, just go ahead and IM me, DM me, let me know. I am Joe, and this is the Mailroom. I love you. Talk to you soon.